Welcome to the Beauty Business Strategies Podcast, where we give salon, spa, and med spa owners quick tips to make more money, inspire your team, and create world-class client experiences.
All right, welcome to the Beauty Business Strategies Podcast. Once again, my name is Michael Yost, and the coolest part about it is we get to have another great conversation. This week, we are talking with two of our great educators and team members, Leslie Winterrowd and Jason. Well, anyway, I'll let him introduce himself. Jason Hoopiiaina. Did I get close, Jason?
It's the same as Smith. It's just as easy.
There we go. Perfect. So why don't I have you guys both just give a little bit of just a quick hello to the audience. And again, just for reference, also just a little bit about yourself, where you're located, again, because everyone's a little bit different. So Leslie, we'll start with you.
Hello, I'm Leslie Winterrowd. I live in Houston, Texas, and I have a salon in Fort Worth, Texas. So I'm about 255 miles away from my daily workplace.
Yeah. There's a whole podcast in that alone. How do we work? We're remote, that kind of thing. But anyway, that's not what today's about. Jason, how are you?
Hey, everybody. I'm good. I'm Jason Hoopiiaina. What's funny is mentally, I'm in Maui right now, but physically, I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Awesome.
You can see the picture behind me. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
That's right. If you're watching this, he's got a beach sunset kind of picture vibe going on behind him, where we'd all like to be, right? All right. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, I'm glad you asked. Well, you probably saw it already in the thumbnail and in the title, but we're talking about basically like holiday, right? And holiday like 365. And the idea behind this comes out of, as we do get into the holiday season now, what we think of as the heart of the holiday season, we're talking about that Christmas time of that Christmas spirit, right? The idea behind this is, well, how do we maximize this? And how do we carry this over into the months that follow? Now, this isn't a new concept by any stretch of the imagination. You probably thought about this, talked about this, and even some degree have a plan around this to some part, right? But I hope that we kind of press your mind a little bit more today. But first thing I want to talk about is, and what I want to get the involvement in is, let's talk about the things that if we want to capitalize on a holiday season, there's some obvious things. Let's get some obvious things out of the way, and then we'll kind of expand the conversation. The obvious things to me, first place I'll start is, I think it's really obvious that if you want to leverage the holiday season into your future, the number one thing, in my opinion, is make sure you're pre-booking. All right. You got to pre-book, again, give you some guidelines. If you're not at least at 70% of your business is not making an appointment in the future, you are absolutely missing the boat on that. So pre-book has got to be a point of emphasis. Why? Because it ensures sales in the future. And why not have your busiest time of the year carry over into January, February, and beyond? So pre-book is, we're talking about, if you're talking about low-hanging fruit, there's the first low-hanging fruit on that. Jason, just chime in a little bit. I don't know if there's any secret sauce with it or anything you want to add, but especially as you're working with a lot of coaching and business clients or things like that, anything to add just to the idea of pre-book?
Yeah, I think just real quick, most people understand the importance of pre-booking. What's interesting is when you look at the effects of pre-booking, right? We know that it's one of the main indicators of retention. And from a strategies perspective, we take retention and we break it up into two categories, right? First-time client retention and repeat. One thing that you might consider doing this year that maybe you haven't done in other years is really look at the number of first-time clients that you have in the month of December and look at that percentage of pre-book compared to the others. Because as a company, we'll run a report that says, oh yeah, our pre-book as a company is 70%, right? Well, I bet you that it's probably closer to 90% for existing clients and like 20 or 30% for first-time clients. But because we have more existing clients, that carries a bigger weight. So if you really wanted to kind of look at, how do we grow and how do we carry this momentum next year, maybe dig just a little bit deeper into pre-booking and start to say, hey, we've got, 50 new clients this month. Out of those 50, just the new ones, how many pre-booked? the
Right.
answer might surprise you.
No, I love that. I love the fact that you take a spin that for so many of us probably listening to this podcast, we just think, okay, I knew they were going to say pre-book, and we just kind of take it for granted. But I think you're exactly right. Is something being masked because of the fact you have the existing fan who's the dominant fan in terms of just sheer number? Are they masking something that you can get an idea of, again, that retention piece? You talked about that lifeblood of our company, right? How important that is. I love that you bring that up, Jason. That's a great way, especially for those listening that are like, oh, okay, yeah, I know that. But take it that one step deeper, dive a little bit deeper, dig a little bit more on that. I love that. Leslie, I'm going to toss it over to you on that, on the same thing, because who knows what you got to bring to the table that could also blow our minds. But anything around pre-book and as you look at it from a business owner standpoint, your team and whatnot?
Well, just looking at pre-book, but really tagging more into that client retention piece, holidays do get so busy that I think sometimes we again take for granted the busy time and maybe even sit down on the job a little bit as far as what that full client experience is. And so if you do what Jason said and really look at the number of new clients pre-booking versus existing clients pre-booking, did we meet the mark on just that status quo service of the client experience, because we get into the hustle and the bustle, and sometimes you can't breathe, and we just got to get through the day. And so some of those systems and things, but on an opportunity side of it, what an easy time of year to really expand on that client experience through gifting or holiday treats or whatever it is, and really just make it an experience in itself for the season. So
yeah, I think that's I was going to say you sparked something too. Both of you talking about that makes me think back to when I had my company and would go through this. One trap that we fell into was we were really good about pre-booking, but for whatever odd reason, we'd start pre-booking through the holiday back in August, right? And that was great. But the trap we fell into, and it's a little late now listening to this podcast right as we're on the holiday season itself, but just something to keep in the back of your mind. One trap we fell into was we pre-book to the holiday, but for some odd reason just kind of stopped. It was almost like you had to restart everything back up come the new year again. We didn't stay ahead of the game because we almost took for granted the fact that, everyone's pre-booked. But then you recognize, you wake up and it's December 28th and you recognize the fact that, oh man, I got to restart that whole cycle again in this new year. And so again, always staying ahead. Again, right now, probably with where this podcast is coming out, a little bit on the oops, we missed it moment, if that's where you ended up, but use it more as just a cautionary for actually some things we're going to talk about going forward as well. So, all right. So that was one thing. Number one, if you want to capture the momentum and carry this, pre-book, man, is so critical. It impacts productivity, impacts future sales, and has already been talked about, increases that client retention, which is what grows your company. That's, again, the lifeblood of the company, as I've already said. All right. Second obvious low-hanging fruit here is, what's going to come out of my mouth, everybody. Say it with me. Retail. Right? Retail. You got it. Retail is an obvious piece. We know it, we struggle with, we bang our head against the wall with it for most of us. Some of us are like, man, we're superstars with it. But here's the simple fact is it generally always is retail in this time of year at the holiday season is generally always a bit stronger. It's on the uptick, right? We have never going to come into a mindset that is willing to buy more than you do between Thanksgiving and Christmas. All right. Everyone's registered to buy. And so with that in mind, how do you keep capitalizing on that going forward and carry that momentum over? I'm a simple person and I look at it this way. If I get someone now that's bought a product, whatever that happens to be from my business, I just find it a whole lot easier just to follow up than we're trying to resell them down the road on something more. Once I have something tangible in my hand and I've experienced it, it's a whole lot easier to keep that momentum going. So really what I would say for the future, if I'm setting this up, what I'm thinking about is for the future is retail may be walking out your door without you having to do much around it. It just naturally is happening. That's great. Really make sure, though, that you're looking at then the systems and the scripts that you're going to use in January and February and March that are going to continue to check back in with what they're taking out the door right now. Because like I said, a lot of us, we don't change our attitudes toward it. It just happens to be higher because people are just naturally buying. So think about, unlike what I just said with Prebook, hey, the mistake we make is, ooh, we booked up until we didn't think beyond. Now you do have the chance to say, let me think about what scripts I want to use to build on what is happening. So there's kind of my brain dump on retail. Leslie, I'm going to start with you first with around retail. Any other components you want to add to that?
Well, I just, if we're looking at having holiday 365, there's a holiday in every month, and I am any salon's ideal client. Like, some of my coaching clients make fun of me because they're like, yeah, but people like you don't walk in. I'm like, no, people like me are walking in your salon every single day. And if you just show me the new, show me the fun, show me the kitschy thing, like, I am going to buy it, because it's just what I do. But just, it's, we're really good. Those of us that are good at the gifting and, let's buy all the hand lotions, and those are great stocking stuffers or whatever. But are we really listening intentionally to our customers that are saying, I've got a luncheon, I'm going to a birthday party, I've got my girlfriend's dinner, I have teacher gifts, I have, and it's just all these things that really are year round, that if we thought more intentionally through it and listened more effectively, all of us, myself included, how much more could we generate retail sales just by, because it really is, it's just by, oh, you've got 10 girls you're going to lunch with today. Oh, are you taking hostess gifts or whatever it's called? Here's these are our cool new little this or that, or this is our, new lip glosses, or this is our new, I will buy 10 of them. And, and what I've found in our salon too, is when we listen intentionally and take the stress out of what am I going to go buy for teachers or whatever, the clients, your client is me. And they're like, oh, that was easy.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So, with that in mind, that's exactly it. It's, you just heard from your customer right there. You just heard from your customer. I couldn't have said it better myself. Jason, any thoughts?
Too many about retail, but, really quick. I remember a conversation we had, Michael, years ago. You actually helped me look at retail a little bit different. If a client purchases a retail product, they're actually showing us that they trust us in between now and their next appointment, right? There's actually like a trust thermometer. So if pre-booking, if we see them this month and they pre-book in the future, which we want them to do, they're saying, hey, I trust you in the future with my hair or skin or body. But in between now and then, if I purchase a retail product, I'm showing you that I trust you. So I think retail is really determined by trust. And I look at some of the reasons why we might struggle with retail. Do we not care about our clients? Do we not know enough about the product, or do we just not really believe in the product line? And so I think this time of year is a great opportunity if we're talking about being thankful for things and giving. Let's spoil our team a little bit if you can. Get them using the product so that they have more passion about it, so they can chat about it with a little bit more enthusiasm and passion. So way too many thoughts on retail. Love it. If you're not doing it, do it. Right.
And, that you bring up, I love the fact that, I'm both listening kind of between the lines with both when we talked about retail, and we talked about this, Jason, you really dialed into that whole client experience component, the things that are going to keep people coming back. You talked about the fact that retail builds trust, why people return. Pre-booking is a sign, that of people wanting to return and building that trust factor. So we've covered two really obvious areas, but I say that, and I shouldn't say it quite so. I don't mean it maybe as lightly as that came out. Like, oh, like you can just throw them aside. No. I say them because they are obvious, but recognize the power that both pre-booking and retail have on your business. If you didn't focus on anything else and you just did those two things, you would create so much growth in your company for the future that it would make your head swim because it ties into so many other areas. And this is where I love where Jason's head was, is this idea of it builds trust. It shows these all create something people want to return to. Again, it fuels client retention, which fuels productivity. All these things help your businesses to grow, and in both areas. So again, while I said them, I don't want anyone to take them as like flippant. I want them to take it as, no, this is serious. If I'm not dialed into this, I have to. This is where I need to start with that. Now, there's one more area to me, and I'm going to use the word culture, but I'm going to put that on hold for a second. Because it's going to tie in, I think, a lot with kind of the direction that and some of the things that are in my brain, and some of the things and kind of leading up to sitting down with Leslie and Jason that we were just kind of shooting around and talking about, and said, man, we got to podcast this thing because we got some great stuff going. Leslie, I think you set it up right when we started initially just talking about, hey, we should sit down and just talk about the holidays and how to maximize those. You brought up a really great point around the holiday, which is why, again, we're calling this Holiday 365, but set it up because I think you did it the best. I'll give you, I'm not going to do it nearly as well as you did.
Yeah, well, I was just saying, we look, but there's so much in the holiday, no matter what you celebrate, it's that excitement, it's that family, it's the traditions, it's the parties, it's the get-togethers, it's the food, it's all the things, it's the abundance of clients, and so why are we not treating all different times of the year like holiday? And what as leaders, we should be creating these moments in time that your staff and your team and everybody's looking forward to maximize these other times, and what I was saying earlier is, holiday is my favorite time. I love Christmas. I love that my kids still believe in Santa Claus. I love everything about it, and I love it at the salon. I love the energy. I love the music. I love the lights. I love everything. And I think that, and then my second favorite time of year is January, February. And I love that time of year at the salon because it's our reboot, it's our restart, it's our annual meeting, it's our initiative, it's our, here's our theme for the year, and here's what the year's going to look like, and here's what to get excited about. And so it's creating moments in time that you're continually just as excited about as you are Christmas.
Yeah, I'm loving it. When I hear that excitement, it gets me excited. I think that around this time of year, Thanksgiving, obviously, I'm thinking, what are we thankful for? This is an amazing opportunity for leaders to really start to what I call tug at the heartstrings of your team members. And at our last conference, we had a coach, Andrea Bursch. She was talking about a purpose-driven company. I look at next year and how do we carry this momentum? I look at what are we thankful for that we have now, that we could help the world in some other place, right? Do we have a purpose-driven company? What is that purpose for next year? Is it really just to grow retail sales or grow retention? Like that stuff, it's very logical. And it definitely can help it, increase maybe our revenue or our profit. But what are we going to do with that? How can we make the world a better place? I think that's something that we can start to look at. And if you can find a purpose, whether it's a children's hospital or veterans or the homeless or animal shelters, but if you can find something that your team is passionate about outside of work, might have nothing to do with our salon or our spa or med spa, but find something we're passionate about. Say, hey guys, we want to grow this company. We want to make more profit so that we can do these other things. It's, money isn't inspiring. Sometimes what you can do with it is inspiring, but really looking at what you're thankful for this year and saying, how can we better the lives of organizations or nonprofits? Or, to me, I start to really try to tug at the heartstrings because we are feeling sentimental and grateful for things like that. So just my two.
Well, and remember too, when we are living our why every day and living with bigger purpose and not living to make the dollar, your life changes completely. It changes personally when you are developing your culture and developing people and living this higher purpose with your team. the money comes. You're not having to sit here and talk about retail and pre-booking because you have the systems in place. We know what needs to be done, but we also know that we're living this bigger purpose. We love what we do. We love coming to work every day. We love waking up every day. We love having coffee. We love coming to huddle, but we don't want to leave sometimes at the end of the day. And you leave uplifted as opposed to deflated. And so it's living with purpose is a game changer of success and sustainability, or just making ends meet. And when you live with purpose and with your why and are grounded in that, and when you can get it to that whole team, the whole team feeling that way, the end result of money, which is, Simon Sinek says it too. It's like money's a result, profit's a result, that's not what is driving our why.
Right.
But man, things come so much faster, so much easier, and everyone's happier. So I 100% agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, we build out of that. And that's why I brought up, culture as one of those things that momentum we can carry out of an existing holiday season in the future, because, at the core, that's what, the holidays are about, that giving component. And people are in that mindset. And how do we continue to grow that? And how do we continue to foster that moving forward through our coming year? And Leslie, I'm going to kind of take a step back, because, you got me thinking about something as well when you were just sharing this idea of, man, I love January and February and March. Here's something that really hit me is we're talking about the holiday. Why do we get so excited about the holiday? I mean, outside of the things that it normally brings, we know that it obviously increase in business or things like that. And it has a natural energy to it with, between traditionally Thanksgiving and Christmas and all of that and family and everything that means. But we spend a lot of time prepping for that. What if we started? And I think this is something that, here's where my brain was when you started sharing, what you were, Leslie, is what if our brains started to kind of look a little bit different and said, what if I treated January, February, and March with the same kind of energy I created as I would the traditional holiday season? Well, yes, we don't have to celebrate. It's not about celebrating Valentine's Day or a 4th of July or a Mother's Day, kind of at the same level that Christmas. We're just saying that we spend a lot of time thinking about preparing well for the traditional holiday season. And I think the other 9 months, we kind of put that same kind of energy aside. But why not? Like you said, I mean, I was inspired by your, I love the first of the year. Why? Because it's refreshing and it's new and we're planning and and all these things. And what energy can we build out of that still helps our business grow, along with helps our culture grow, and maybe continues, Jason, kind of some of the seeds that you're laying there. A bigger overall purpose is, hey, maybe we want to do, maybe here's a bigger overall purpose that our business has that might continue throughout the year. But I don't think many of us think about the month to month in the same way that we think about, and the way we work hard at planning for October and especially November and December. So.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I have this phrase in my head that I've used quite a bunch of times. In fact, it was used on me by my kids not too long ago. But this phrase is, your attitude is your choice, right? And I'm working with some clients right now that they're building their cash flow plan, and they're like, well, January just is always terrible because everybody's bought all their stuff in November and January. So our retail sales in January they're just going to stink. I was like, well, that's a very interesting attitude. And like, well, that's not my attitude. That's just a reality. And I said, well, what if we change that to say, you know what, this coming January is going to be the best month we've ever had in the history of our company, right? If we're on this continual path to grow, can we start to change our attitude? So getting excited about January and February, saying we are going up and up and up. We're not on a company that goes up until December and then we crash. It's like, we're always going up. I think that, it's a powerful mindset to say your attitude is your choice. And if, it affects your altitude. So, yeah. Can we get excited about January and February? Heck yeah, we can. In fact, I think we should. If we're not, if you're not excited for the future, I don't know about that. I would poke that a little.
Right.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm like, what if you started to, what if you really drove that innovation driver with your team? And what if you just, let's look at January, February, like, and just start like the brainstorm kind of mind map, what is January, February? I'm in Texas, so it's not snow and it's not cold. Sometimes it's cold, but January, February, it could be snow, it could be brisk, but there's words that you associate with January, February. But really what I started thinking to was later in the year, like then you get into summer months and you've got, June, July, August, and it's sunshine and beach and Maui and vacation and and for a lot of people maybe maybe snow is happiness, but maybe summer is happiness. But what if the theme was happiness and we treated happiness the same way we treat it as Christmas, and then we theme these like 3 months of happiness for our team, for our customers, for our community, and build a whole thing around that. I don't know, I think you could have some fun with your team just with some play on words, but just brain dumping. What do each of these, let's just say, every 2 months, March, April, May, June, July, whatever
Right.
that looks like. It would be a really fun exercise. I might actually do that. I am going to do that.
You're like, dang, I gave myself a great idea.
Let's do that.
Holy cow. As I'm sitting here, I'm hit by a lightning bolt. But no, I think that's exactly it. It's how do we look at the holiday from a 365 point of view? The whole idea behind sitting down to do this was, how do we take what is happening, now in the traditional holiday season and carry that momentum into the future? And a lot of it is, yes, there are some physical ways, some system ways, those kind of things that structures and scripts and all that, they're going to do that. But Leslie, I think you hit it right, is we need to take the same mental approach to January and February and March and April and May and June, and however you want to. Again, you can do it quarterly, you can do it by month, you can do it in 2-month chunks. I don't care what you're thinking. There's no right or wrong on that. It's just, how do I break the next year down into maybe a couple more, just kind of more bite-sized components, and start to go, I'm going to treat this next, and I'm just going to use quarter as my example. I'm going to treat this next quarter with the same level of intensity I treated, where we are right now. And what could that do for you? Because you don't need to have a anchor focus when it comes to again, like Christmas is, it's that anchor, right? The new year, it's the anchor thing. You don't need that. You create, the energy that goes into, your anchor could be new. Your anchor could be something you're excited about. Here's a great way to get team engaged and involved. And again, your anchor could be what Jason was even alluding to. Maybe it's something that's a bigger purpose kind of item, and that's your anchor. And what are we doing to get to that just drives energy? Because that to me is why I guess I'm having the same epiphanies sitting here talking to you guys as you just did, Leslie. I think that to me is the secret sauce of why we love the holiday, is because of the energy that courses through our businesses at the holiday. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's the increase in here, and there's the traffic, and there's this and that and the other, and all those tangible things. But it's the energy that people have that is, you got to remember, that's partially created because of the season, but it is also greatly created by what you have done in preparation for that season too. Yeah, Thanksgiving brings its own energy. New Year brings its own energy. But you did a lot of work as a team member, if you're listening in, or as a leader, or just as a company that created energy. And that's where I think we long for the rest of the year, is like, where's that energy and what do we need to do? I mean, Leslie, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to put you on the spot on this one maybe, but cool. That's what it's about. Right. But as you think about the things that drive energy, what things are in your brain that we're talking about energy around, like May or September or, any other time of the year?
Well, it's funny because I was about to say that. we created a fun crew, and they get like a monthly budget, and we haven't taken it to the level we're about to, because I'm just like having these epiphanies while we're on this. But what the fun crew is responsible for is decorating our huddle room, making our break room just feel, whether it's Mardi Gras or it's our birthday month or it's Valentine's or it's Thanksgiving or it's vacation or whatever. But they get a monthly budget and they decorate, and then there's typically some sort of staff game incentive. I mean, during Christmas we do things like Secret Santa, we do white elephants, you do all the gifty things. But even February we did a love month, and this was in 2019 before all everything broke loose with pandemic. But it was amazing. It was love month, and it was love your clients, love your team, love your community, and then I think it was love your products. But each week was a different focus, and we had the biggest February we'd ever had. Just like what you were saying, Jason, is like mindset's everything. We had the biggest, clients loved it. They are posting on social media. We didn't even have to, because they're coming in and it's like, oh my gosh, look at how much they love their clients. And, but we were spotlighting customers. We were, we did kind of like a Secret Santa. I can't remember what it was called, but it was love your team, and everybody kind of exchanged. But, I think if we really break down holiday too, like what is it that we love about it, and really dissect it. And I think we'll all come to the same conclusion. It's togetherness, it's relationships, it's community, it's hustle and bustle, it's together. And that, and yeah, I mean, I get that not everyone loves that, but for the majority of us do. And so how do you create that the rest of the year? How do you create more togetherness, and how do you create more community that's year round? And it could be themed, this year. And Michael and Jason are actually coaching my team right now, and they're coming in February. But I'll announce to y'all now, our theme this year is drive. And we haven't had to drive very hard these last few years because it's just been busy out of the gate, and so now this is a year to really reset, get back to the basics, looking at things like we started the conversation with pre-booking, retail, just the numbers that drive, but now I'm like, what if part of the theme year was drive? How do we drive happiness, and how do we drive it to team and to community and to customers? But using that theme throughout the year, and then drive Christmas or drive holiday, drive Thanksgiving. But, but drive is going to be our year. And it's really that sense of urgency, just getting back to really solid systems and structure and foundation pieces, and make sure we're all on the same page so we can get to that next level playing field that is the fun and the energy and the excitement. And again, that why we show up every day and why we love what we do, and the excitement of coming to work. So did that answer your question? Maybe.
It answers it, and way more in a way better way than I could have ever hoped for. So yes is your answer. Yes is the answer.
I just want to jump in, talking about, holidays, holiday 365 or Christmas 365. I think one of the things that I love so much about this time of year is I really start to reflect on everything that I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for the experiences. I'm thankful for my team members, right? And I think that's something that you absolutely can take every single day. And you can start to build some really cool systems where your team starts to actively thank, through maybe some cute little letters or whatever, or a cute little shout out that you put in a little weekly bucket. And, at a huddle, you pull them out and you save them and you give them to a team member at their, work anniversary. But this idea of, I am thankful for who's on our team, I'm thankful for our clients, that is absolutely something you can take year round, every day. So that's just what's sticking in my head.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love this because I love how this kind of started just this last, what Leslie just shared and what you just shared. It started with this idea of, why do we love the holiday? Because it's the energy. And then, Leslie, you build off of that. And then Jason, just what you're sharing there, all these things build energy. We can't take for granted, if you want to continue this and move this energy forward, it's, again, think about the holiday right now and what happens. Some of it, again, you've created, some of it just naturally happens, but here's what's going on. Heightened relationships, heightened interaction, higher levels of thankfulness and realizations. You're building, higher amounts of community, higher, all these key areas are all amplified in this time that we're in. Listen, that's not exclusive to November, December. It's just, we get the boost of it and we get in the mindset of it. But if we were to think about community, and when I mean community, I don't mean necessarily outside of your four walls. I mean the community inside your business's four walls, that community. Then if we want to think outside to the general larger community, cool, I'm good with that too. But think about community, think about, again, relationships, think about the experiences, think about the connections, think about all of those components. Again, this all leads back to a strong culture and a stronger, again, as a general overall, let's umbrella word, that's what great cultures start to look like. And that's why, without realizing it, that's what the secret sauce is, in my opinion, of the holiday itself. Strip all of it down. That to me is the secret sauce. And so if you're looking to go holiday 365 and carry this momentum, think about those things that were just, shared in this last, 10 minutes or so, because that to me is the energy that propels this thing forward. So before we completely wrap up, I don't want to knock down any last thoughts that might be going, oh my gosh, I'm bursting at the seams with it. But Jason or Leslie, is there any just last things that your mind's just like, before we go, I got to share this?
Yeah, I got one more thing. I
kind of figured that, so that's why I left this out there.
So I was just thinking, and this is outside of even scope of, our businesses or anything, but think about how excited, and this could be back in the 80s and this could be, next week, but how excited people are to see what the Black Friday deals are, or what's a company that you look forward to see, Oprah's favorite things, or I don't know, whatever those are. But what if we created something in our own companies that every team, clients, everyone was so excited about, that it was like this Black Friday mentality, or my favorite things or something like that, but created that year round, where people couldn't wait. Like, at 7:02 p.m., we're going to announce our, but then maybe that's the launch of the months of happiness, or maybe that, months of gratitude, or whatever. I don't know. My mind's going a million miles an hour right now.
I love it.
What I want to do.
I love it.
The only thing I would probably just maybe a closing thought. I got it from Brett Pierce. I think you got it from Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or you think you cannot, you're probably right. So the things you're doing right now today, the things will manifest in the future. So, and there's a whole team of people that want you to succeed. I know for everybody at Strategies, we want to help however we can, whoever we can, whenever we can. So we're here for you.
Awesome. Well, this has been fantastic. Leslie, Jason, thank you guys for hanging out for this time. This was a blast. Again, for all those out there listening, have a great rest of your day, and we will talk to you again very soon on an upcoming podcast. We'll see you later, everyone.
Thanks again for listening to the Beauty Business Strategies podcast. If you like this episode, be sure to hit follow, and please share the episode link with anyone who you think could benefit from today's content. To learn more about how Strategies can help create more fun, profit, and growth potential for you, your company, and your team, we invite you to schedule a free 60-minute strategy session by clicking the direct link in the description of this episode. There you'll also find links to our wide array of coaching, seminar, and learning opportunities, all of which can be found at strategies.com.